Hey YouTube, Mark Hoffman here, and today I'm going to talk about the 3 knives that stood out for me at Blade Show 2022. Now, these are going to be production knives. These aren't going to be customs. These aren't going to be anything that you had to be at the show to get. These knives are going to be something that you and I are going to be able to go out and buy in the coming months. So, it's been a while since I've made a video, and the only reason that is because I've just been busy. I've been doing a lot of servicing at home. I've been taking in a lot of work, and I have also been very busy at my full-time job as well. So I'm a watchmaker full-time, and then I also work on watches at home. So yeah, it's been pretty busy, and I haven't really been able to make very many videos. So first, the knife that I think is the most interesting, and I'm going to steal videos from Knife Center here because, well, honestly, they had some of the best coverage out of all the other knife channels. So the first one that really stood out to me was the Lion Steel N1. And the Lion Steel N1 is actually going to be more of a baby brother to the Lion Steel Mito. So this very thick bladed knife being in that smaller size is very interesting indeed. But what is more interesting is the fact that it is a single, or what we've been led to believe, a single piece of titanium essentially wrapped around the blade. The only thing that is removable is the removable flipper tab. So essentially your knife is going to have no screws. You're going to have nothing holding it together. It's just going to be a solid piece of titanium. And I find this to be very interesting, especially if they're able to get the action that I have on this one on that. So it's going to be smaller. You've probably already seen the video by now inserted here. And they're going to have a black, I believe it's DLC or PVD coated model. And then they're going to have probably blue, bronze, and then gray titanium. But what is more amazing is that Lion Steel is actually going to be doing away with M390, and what I've been led to believe through the videos I've seen is they're going to be moving away from M390 and strictly to MagnaCut. And that is very interesting. I mean, the fact that they're going to be going across the board and having MagnaCut as their primary steel versus M390, that's pretty incredible. That's going to be very interesting to see. Now, the only issues I see with this knife is the possibility of excessive wear within the pivot. And my theory on how this knife is actually being built is that the blade itself actually has the pivot in the blade. Okay, so the pivot is already in the blade. They have formed the titanium around it, and the blade already has the pivot in it, and then they have the ball bearings that are going to fit here. There's got to be some kind of coupling system or something that has locked into place. So they probably are able to slide that in, or they're forming the titanium over the blade with the ball bearings already fitted to the blade. So they're probably forming the blade, the handle over the blade and the bearings all at once, and then compressing it. Now, I think this would be very difficult because you don't have any real control over the action or what you're going to get out of the knife at that point unless the titanium is still hot and you can kind of bend it a little bit. Now, the only problem with that I see is maybe you are heating it up so much that it's going to affect the blade tempering. So I have no idea. I don't make knives, but that is kind of my theory. Unless it has some kind of coupling system where it is locked into place, and when it comes to the factory, they have like a tool that pops it apart and then it can come apart. So I don't know, but it's very, very interesting. The other thing that I think is going to be very interesting to handle is going to be the Buck Deploy Auto. Now, I personally don't have a Buck auto, and I mean, I've thought about buying a Gerber auto. I've thought about having another ProTech. I had a few in the past, and button autos are just not really my thing. I have a Benchmade button auto, and I really do love that knife, and it's fantastic, but I use that knife usually when I'm doing some kind of work that I know I'm going to be cutting open a lot of boxes, and I don't really want to worry about opening the blade consistently. I just press a button, it's open, cut, just no hassle. So I'm excited for that, and I'm happy that they're using 154 CM. I think that is a great steel, especially if you're using the Boss heat treat. The Boss heat treat is able to push those steels really high into their performance levels, and I really think that would be a good way to go when it comes to the 154 CM. Personally, I don't really like the California legal stuff. I'm in Texas, so I'm probably just going to go for the full size knife versus that Cali size. But honestly, I don't know if I'm going to go with it. They're using like Cerakote coatings, and I'm not really a big fan of Cerakote. I prefer either anodizing or just bare aluminum. Now, those were the two that really stood out to me. There were a lot of other knives out there that were very interesting, very cool, very unique, but I'm just going to say it, there's a lot of vanilla on top of vanilla. A lot of button locks, a lot of flippers, a lot of regurgitated stuff. I wasn't really impressed with what CRKT put out. I wasn't really impressed with very many companies. I mean, one was very disappointing, and it was Giant Mouse. Giant Mouse knives really disappointed me. Wasn't really impressed with what they were putting out. So for me personally, I found Buck to have a really cool auto that had good quality materials, and then the N1 from Lion Steel was very interesting. I mean, I don't know how they did it. It's going to be very cool to see if they're going to release that information. But the one knife, and we, I think, completely blew it out of the water, and not in a good way. I think they really jumped the shark. We, for me, didn't produce or put out anything that was very interesting to me, anything that was very intriguing. And when it came to their Bulwark knife, and that video should be right here, the Bulwark knife just seems stupid. Forgive my language, but it just looked stupid. It sounds stupid. When you put a combination lock on a knife to keep it closed, really? I mean, really? It makes no sense. And it doesn't even lock it open. I mean, I don't know. Made no sense. It was utterly atrocious to me. It made no sense. The knife blade looks cool, but a combination lock on the knife handle made no sense. So for me, that was just a no-go. I wasn't really impressed. I mean, Chris Reeve, Chris Reeve is still bragging about the 31, and I know that Tim Reeve was talking about how hard it is to actually get these 31s out to people. To be honest, this one wasn't very hard to get. I mean, I just found it on eBay, and I was happy to snag it up and grab it. So it wasn't hard to find this one, but they go quick. You have to be ready, and you have to be willing to pay. So that really is what it comes down to. But other than that, this in MagnaCut would be perfect. But S45VN, for me, is great. It's easily sharpenable, and it's very durable. But really, those were the three knives that stood out to me at Blade Show 2022. And to be honest, I know I'm probably missing one or two that were really interesting to a few other people. But for me, when I saw what people were throwing out and showing, I just couldn't watch. It was another assisted knife, or it was another flipper, in some interesting design. I mean, it was another button lock upon button lock upon button lock, and, just didn't make sense. So I thought I would share my thoughts on Blade Show 2022. If you went, I'd love to hear your experience. Just leave that down in the comments. But for me, those were the 3 that stood out to me. 2 good, 1 bad. I may be getting the buck, but I'm not too sure. When it comes to the lion steel, I have my Mito. This is a good size for me. I'm not going for a under 3-inch knife. Especially if it's going to have blade stock this thick, makes no sense. So thank you guys for watching. Till the next one, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.